wine snobs. Check out this view. It's gorgeous, isn't it? Enjoying the sunset over here at Naggiar Vineyards. Just got done walking the Syrah vineyards, Muscat, and Grenache as well. But I'm sitting down to enjoy the sunset with a glass of the Black Beast. It's quite fitting, especially considering these vines here. Grapes are really intense. It's on a slope, and of course you have those that quintessential Sierra foothill granite soil. Lots of drainage, lots of intensity, very small, tight bunches, tight clusters, intense flavor, lots of acidity, thick leathery skin on the berries. I think this is going to be a good vintage. But yeah, we're having a Black Beast. We're going to take a look at it. It's a red blend, but I'm sure these Syrah grapes play no small part. Yeah, let's take a look. Lots of intense plum on the nose there. I'm not surprised, especially after tasting the grapes. We're probably about a few weeks away from harvest, but they're already showing really good intensity. I would even venture to say you could pick them now and just lay them down for a really long time, but I think they could definitely benefit from some hang time, a little more, develop a little more of those sugars, and that, a little better fruit expression. You get a lot of that wet granite, wet slate mineral granite essence, kind of like a hot summer day and you had like a flash rainstorm, thunderstorm, but the rocks are still steaming hot, and so you get those vapors of that moist steam coming off the rocks, and they carry that mineral rocky essence. You get a lot of that here. This is not the first wine from this vineyard that I've picked that up on, and it's definitely very signature of this vineyard. You get that a lot. I can't remember which one it was, but it really had that particular flavor profile was very intense in it. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, what I like about this region as a whole is the way that granite expresses itself. There's also that signature star anise, which you find pretty much all up and down the Sierra foothills with varying intensity. Over here, it's not as intense as, say, Amador and Fairplay. It's really intense there. Here, it's maybe secondary or tertiary, and you get a lot more of that rocky, dusty, granite, slate type of expression. One thing I like about this vineyard is they grow good grapes, and I'm sure you've heard before, every good wine starts with good grapes. So that's half the battle, and I can tell that when I taste the wine, and I can taste it has a prominent, well-defined sense of place. A wine that is characteristic of the region from which it comes, and even in some cases goes even beyond that, characteristic of the vineyard from which it comes. The grapes were grown, and for me, that's the measure of a good wine. To quote one of my favorite winemakers, Rusty, you just make sure you have good grapes. And if you have good grapes, you harvest them, you leave them alone, and you'll make good wine. Just don't screw it up. Cheers to you, Rusty. Yeah, there's a little bit of caramel there on the back. Nice wood essence. Primary notes on here are plum, which is typical for Syrah. Those blackberries. Barely any dark cherry in there. This is a very bold, aggressive Syrah, to be honest. In here, there's probably a couple other varietals blended in here as well. But you definitely get a lot of that signature Syrah, Petite Syrah type of expression. Damp wood is all over. It's actually fairly restrained for as big as it is. Lots of massive structure right up front. Big, heavy, thick tannins. It's no surprise. I mean, look at that color. This will stain anything. I have to watch out, make sure I don't spill it on my pants here. But right off the bat, it's tart, dry plum skins, and dark, maybe slightly unripe cherries, black cherries, just intense blackberries. A bit of that dusty granite does come through, but it's towards the back. You can barely notice it because of the huge, thick, monolithic slab of structure that the tannins lend to the wine. There's also a heat, so those tannins hit you first. The attack is all tannic intensity. A big, bold structure, followed by moderate acidity. That doesn't even stand a chance. In most other wines, this level of acidity would actually, probably take, front center. But in this case, it doesn't stand a chance with these tannins. This is intense. A wine like this should be laid down for a long time. It needs to just integrate and find its happy place. At least a decade, maybe 15 or more years. As the dark berries and plums subside, transition to finish, you get a little bit of a fine grain kind of essence with the tannins and the granite. And after that, the palate, it just leaves the palate bone dry. Bone dry with a little spice heat. Pretty much kind of lingers through the body till the finish. But it actually holds on pretty good. It has a long, fine-grained grip on it. But it holds up pretty good, actually. I'm impressed. A wine like this, you probably want to decant, at least maybe 30 minutes, an hour. Just let it breathe. It will also allow some of those tannins to smooth out a little bit, and I'm guessing it would probably lend a little bit of a caramel essence to it as it further oxidizes. You could probably get a little bit of those sugars in there. But all around, a very nice, intense, dry, bold structured wine. This reminds me of a big Barolo or a Nebbiolo from Langhe. Just firm, solid wine. This is a brick house. I love it. I love it. It's a great blend. And I think we'll be adding these to the WineSnob long-term review. So stay tuned. Several years from now, we're going to revisit this same one, this same vintage, and see how it's coming of age. Until then, cheers, WineSnobs, and enjoy the sunset. Once opened, some of those massive tannins become caramelized, giving a slightly sweet tinge over a fine-grained dusty grit. There is also the faintest of honey way in the back. You'd almost miss it. I recommend enjoying this wine over several days, especially at this relatively young age. I corked half my bottle with a vacuum stop and placed it in the fridge. On the second day, the body had taken a slightly smoother tone. The finish was even more massive, with powerful, dry, warm, spicy grip. Notes of licorice were even more pronounced, way past the finish. This is an age-worthy wine, built for the long haul. It is barely approachable to the average palate right now. Being a small batch production wine, I recommend picking up at least a few bottles so you can follow its progression over the coming years. I anticipate it will reach its fullest expression at the 10 to 15 year mark, possibly longer. If you like big reds, the Black Beast is for you, especially if you like them fairly dry and terroir driven. Have you tried the Black Beast? Do you have a favorite big red or vineyard you'd like to see on WineSnob? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to say a special thank you to Naggiar Vineyards for hosting me. Links in the description below on how to get in touch with them.